Welcome to Unique People Stories. Worst first dates. I once took a girl to Starbucks because I forgot her name. Date was so bad that I gave the waiter $20 to spill my drink on me to get me out of there. While at dinner, date looks at me and says, "If you lose 10 pounds, you would be a 10. I asked for dessert. My date took me to a nice restaurant. Our server leaned in to me and said, "You're the third one this week." He had a $35 steak and several drinks. I had a $8 salad and water. He demanded I split the check 50-50. He took me to a frog jump festival. We had to leave early because his wife showed up and she has a restraining order on him. He said, "From your photo I thought you were too good for me. I'm glad to see you've got flaws." Then he listed them. My date was complaining about me on Facebook while at the table. I found out because she accidentally tagged me in the post. Sitting on the floor, kissing, talking about life and family. Turns out, we are cousins. At the end of the night, he leaned in for a kiss, whispering, "Don't be scared if my tooth falls out." My mom and I went out to dinner and she surprised me with a blind date. We ate together, the three of us. He talked about himself all through dinner. Then drove me around to show me where all his ex-girlfriends lived. In the middle of the date she called her ex and decided to get back together with him. Guy took me to Hooter to watch football with 6 other men. Fast forward, I married one of them and Guy was our best man. On our first date he bought me a box of brown hair dye as a Christmas gift because he didn't like my hair color. Kissed me. Said he now sure was gay. Asked me to stay and introduce myself as girlfriend to his Catholic Polish mom. He showed up an hour late. Drove through McDonald's to get us food. Then parked at a zoo and said, "I've got a condom." I went to a fancy place. He ordered and ate the most expensive food on the menu. He went to wash his hands and never returned. He took me to a movie. Pulled a used large popcorn bag out of the trash can and went for his free refill. Met a girl online and had her over for dinner. Heard ripping behind me while cooking. She was opening my mail. Guy took me to a $1 movie theater. Paid for me. Then said in total seriousness, "You can pay me back later." He insisted we had to wash his cat. We did. He took me a female to a gay club. Got drunk. Came out of the closet. Met a guy and gave me $40 to catch a taxi home. He immediately ended the date after I asked if his pet pig's name was Bacon. Within first 30 minutes he revealed that he had 4 kids with 3 women and proudly announced, "I impregnated an 18-year-old with thins when I was 14. No. We were walking outside and it got chilly. He said, "I guess I should offer you my jacket. But then I'd be cold." A guy once took me to garbage dump and told me to pick out whatever I wanted. As I was leaving, I went in for a hug goodbye. Tripped on the doormat and tackled her into the door. He took me to see a film with his ex in it. Cried all the way through and kept asking me if I didn't agree that she was beautiful. I thought he was into fitness because he had an ankle weight. He was actually on parole and it was an ankle monitor. Took a girl out to karaoke and she sang "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston. However, before it she told the crowd for my ex. Dude took me to a haunted house. I fell and he left me because he was scared. When I found him, he was asking someone else out. We were driving to dinner and he made me laugh so hard I said, "I love you," and then followed it up with "like." As a brother. Guy talked about sheep for 3 hours and then said I was boring. Really? During dinner, his mom walked up and introduced himself. She had been waiting in the car and came in to use the restroom. After paying the bill, my friend turned to his date and told her, "You ate more than I predicted." Arrived to pick up a blind date. Turned out to be my high school band teacher. The one still married to his wife. She brought a plastic baggie to puke in because they gets nervous on first dates. And she used it. At the end of first date I asked if she'd like to go out again. She said she was going to take a break from dating for a while. I had a guy splash me with holy water because I was too good to be true. I went out with a psychic who told me he once got beat up by a gang of ghosts. Spent 30 minutes outside a pub next to my date who ignored me. Then texted, "If that's you next to me I'll be really embarrassed." He was half an hour late and told me how he had burned his penis on a radiator as a child. He went to the bathroom. Then texted me, "You should call an Uber." Because he had peed his pants and was too embarrassed to come back. He dropped acid in the bathroom and was arrested in the parking lot of Outback for indecent exposure. He leaned in for a kiss and then burped in my mouth. Going to a restaurant where his ex was a waitress and he burst into tears begging her to taking him back. I told her she could pick the Pandora station in my car. She picked Disney. Sang every word and ignored me for 30 minutes. He ridiculed my earrings. Made fun of me for not knowing 65 by 65. Tried to throw me over a bridge and push me into traffic. Homeboy wouldn't stop putting chopsticks in his mouth pretending to be Walrus for 30 minutes. He still lived at home with his parents. So he had to sneak me in. And that's when I found out about the Ninja Turtle bed sheets. He cried 3 times during dinner. Talked non-stop about his ex and then pointed finger guns and asked wanna get a hotel room? We went to the mall after the date so that I could return something, and when we went back at my car he had 6 t-shirts on that he had stolen. I was trying to flirt with my date. So I told she spilled some ice cream on her chin. Turns out it was a zit. He was skateboarding towards my driveway. His board caught on the sidewalk. He hit the ground and he passed out for 10 minutes. He said I was too perfect and then started giving me his single friends' numbers. One came and he left. I gave him some fries. He told me he was his generation's Jack Kerouac and made me read the first page of his novel. It was bad. Really. Really bad. Went on a blind date with a guy for pizza. 5 minutes in and 2 slices of pizza later. He had already named our future children. He took me to a strip club. Turns out his ex was a stripper. He spent the night running around her while I sat alone. He said if you though these buffalo wings were for both us. Think again. Must have been Joey. Reluctantly went on a blind date through a mutual friend. Halfway through the date, we discovered that we are related. On guy took me a bar where all his friends were and kept introducing me as the normalest girl I've found yet. Tried to help my friend out by setting him up on a blind date. We lived in a small city and it turned out to be his cousin. Took me on a hike. At the top of the mountain he told me he had a girlfriend with whom he made it official in the text on a hike. My friend told a girl he had something special planned. He took her to an off-track betting place. Went on a date with a vegan. After I ate fish tacos he said, and people don't think about how fish have feelings too. I once went out with a guy who waited until 3rd drink to tell me he had a girlfriend. My ex-boyfriend on our first date bragged about how good his ex was and asked if I wanted to meet her. My friend took his girlfriend out for tea. Got a bit drunk and ended up making out with the girl on the next table. Thank you for listening. What was your worst first date?